Tonight, the province's health department says it's on the lookout for signs and symptoms of the Mpox virus.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Peter Cowan. Health officials say they've detected the Mpox virus in wastewater in this province. They say there hasn't been a confirmed case of the virus, formerly known as monkeypox, in Newfoundland and Labrador, but they are prepared if that does happen. Here Now's Mark Quinn reports.
The World Health Organization recently declared the Mpox that's circulating in some countries in Africa to be a public health emergency of international concern. And so we certainly, want to encourage people to be aware of that and to, for those who are eligible for vaccination, to reach out to get vaccinated.
Dr. Janice Fitzgerald says there hasn't been a case of Mpox like this in this province, but because it has been found in wastewater in July, there is reason to believe a resident or a visitor has had it here.
We had two non-consecutive testings that were at this trace level, and that last one was on July 22nd. We haven't had anything since. So, we're fairly confident that there's not much circulating at the moment. The risk is low to the population. But I think this tells us that it can be here, and, we need to be ready and try to prevent any kind of infections or outbreaks from happening.
Fitzgerald wants people in this province to be aware of symptoms and seek treatment if they believe they may have Mpox.
Headache, fatigue, fever, sore throat, those sorts of things, and then that usually lasts 4 or 5 days, and then there's a rash that comes along with that, and the rash can be quite variable. It can be flat, and it can go all the way to little pustules that then crust over. So, and it can make people significantly ill. Most people, in fact, will have a mild illness, but there certainly can be those who may be at higher risk for more severe disease.
There is a vaccine, and the health department's website has a complete list of people who are eligible for it.
Certainly encourage everybody to go to our website to look at that, but there are some members of the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus community who would be eligible, as well as people who are involved in sex work, sex tourism, those sorts of things. So we would encourage people to head to our website to see if they're eligible, and if they are, to reach out to public health.
Mpox can be passed from one person to another through sex. Health officials in this province say they don't want anyone who could benefit from the vaccine to avoid getting it because they're afraid of shame or stigmatization. They say anyone who comes in who says they're eligible will be taken at their word and given the vaccine. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, let's go, girls. If you're heading down to the biggest musical show of the year, it's time to get a move on. Shania Twain hits the stage at Churchill Park in St. John's tonight for the first of 3 shows, and it's all happening ahead of Hurricane Ernesto. That means it's a busy day for Ashley Brauweiler, who's watching both of those stories, and she's live from the park. So, Ashley, let's start with what's happening down there.
Well, there are a lot of people starting to come in now, getting some food as it's supper time. It smells nice. We're down by the food here, and the merchandise tent as well. It's starting to get busy, and what a beautiful night for a concert. What a beautiful weekend for the concerts. We're going to talk to Mallory Johnson. She just finished her set about 15 minutes ago, rather. She's very excited, and got to open for one of her idols, which was super exciting. And we're also going to talk about, as Peter mentioned, Hurricane Ernesto. It is looking more and more likely that we will see some sort of effect of Ernesto as we head through the Monday night and into Tuesday morning time frame. I'll break all of that down for you, and we'll have lots more fun from down here at the Churchill Park Music Festival. Like I said, a beautiful night for it. Now it's warm. It is going to cool down tonight, so if you're heading out, grab a sweater. We'll talk a little later in the show.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ashley. When people moved into a new suburb in Paradise, their brand new homes had everything except for a front yard and driveway. They're voicing their frustrations with the developer, Carwood Contracting. Here Now's Elizabeth Whitten explains the problem and what the company is now promising to do to fix it.
When Thomas O'Brien stands on his porch and looks out onto his cul-de-sac, He sees gravel and feels frustration.
I walk out my door every morning and I just feel like I'm getting ripped off. I'm paying for something that's not there and was guaranteed it, and it's not there. So it's just really, really defeating, frustrating.
He bought his Paradise property from home builder Carwood Contracting 2 years ago. This is what a Carwood home is supposed to look like. But that's not the reality for people living in the duplexes that line Nicholas Quinn Place. O'Brien was promised he'd have a lawn and a paved driveway by June 30th of 2023, more than a year ago. This is a contract signed by Carwood Contracting Vice President Randy Oram. O'Brien isn't alone. His neighbor Gregory Tobin is also waiting. He's now worried his baby daughter will hurt herself on the sharp rocks where his driveway and front lawn should be. And Tobin says it's ugly.
It's terrible to look at. I mean, I have family come over for dinners and whatnot, and unfortunately it's commented by every single person that comes over to our house now, for sure. But besides, like you say, the aesthetics, it's a challenge to live with, especially in the winter time.
Both O'Brien and Tobin say the company hasn't responded to them. After CBC News started asking Carwood Contracting for an interview, residents got an update. They were told landscaping work would begin on Monday, starting with sidewalks. Then the company would move on to lawns and paved driveways. The Carwood representative didn't explain why there was a delay in work or the radio silence in the email. Meanwhile, O'Brien regrets buying his first home.
If I had my time back, I certainly wouldn't have went this option at this point. The headache is not worth it.
Carwood did not provide a timeline for when the work would be completed, but they did say work would start Monday. Elizabeth Witten, CBC News, St. John's.
There was a near miss involving 2 ships involved in the offshore oil business, and it's one that the province's offshore regulator says could have been fatal. It happened when the gangway failed during a crew change between the Amazon Conqueror, which is a seismic research ship, and the Victory G. The platform between them detached. No one was injured. The CNL OPP says it's monitoring ExxonMobil's investigation into the incident. The baseball field at the Team Gouju Sports Complex in Mount Pearl has gotten a makeover, and today city officials showed off the new and improved field. The facility was upgraded to prepare for next year's Canada Games, but some of this country's best young players will have a chance to test out the diamond this weekend. Take a look.
4, 3, 2, 1.
This is a reopening of the baseball park at Team Gouju. So we have a new ballpark created here at Team Gouju. We have accessible bleachers and paths created to support those who want to come and visit. Inside the park, we've got all the flags up for the Canada Games. We've got a new score clock, a new halo. We've replaced the field turf with clay, which for those baseball enthusiasts and to meet the Canada Games standards, that was a must. The city spent over $500,000. Our city staff and Public Works, they did the bulk of the work here, and it's transformed this park into Canada Games ready.
It's fantastic. You know, we were really excited when the field was going to be renovated for Canada Games, and the opportunity to hold a test event for Canada Games is a huge opportunity to be able to come in and play the field and have teams from all across the country, and compliments have been off the charts on how well the field is playing, so we're really excited to be here. It's a huge tournament. It's the 18U Nationals, so we have teams from all across the country, BC right to Newfoundland. We have 2 Newfoundland teams because Prince Edward Island didn't send one, but every other province is represented, and it's definitely a high caliber of baseball. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend, St. Pat's or Team Gouju Field here in Mount Pearl, is a great chance to get out and see some good players.
Well, it's almost back to school season, but classes are in at Newfoundland's School of Rock. And they're winding down their summer with a blowout concert, and we got to check it out.
So I started around Easter of 2022. I joined with we have performance camps, so I joined with one of those. They're like a week long, and then you play a song on Friday. And then after that, I wanted to join, so I joined with the Prince vs. Michael Jackson group, and I played my first show in June of that year.
The reason why I got into music is my dad, he was really into guitar, and we would always listen to music, you know? And once he recommended this school, so we took a look around, and we got lessons, and then we just kept getting lessons, and now I'm here now.
I wanted to join because I felt like regular guitar lessons were getting a little boring, and I was already playing drums for like a year at that point.
How do you feel like your skills have improved since you've been here?
I think they improved a lot, and I got to like be around other people on stage and just get more comfortable being with other people on stage. When you're playing alone, you don't really have anyone with you, watching you, like you're just doing your own thing. But when you're on stage with other people, then it might be a little like make you nervous, but it helps with like stage presence and not feeling nervous the more you go on stage.
I've definitely learned to play more complex stuff. I've learned how song structures work, like melody, time signatures.
We get kids of all kinds. You get some outgoing kids, you get some kids that are still in their shell, and within a matter of weeks, those kids who were, timid and shy are rocking hard as ever, as if they've been doing it for years. That's how quick it works.
I always tell the kids, my students, that you could lock yourself up in a room and practice for millions of hours at a time, but until you actually play with other students, other musicians, that's really where the growth happens. That's really where you actually become a good musician. You learn how to play with others. You learn things from other musicians. If you play with students who are better than you, guess what? You're going to get better.
We have so many resources. Everybody submits information on how to improve our processes, our teaching methods, our vibe, everything. So, it's not 30 years of learning how to teach music. It's 30 years of learning how to teach kids how to rock on stage and in life. They get life lessons here, right? And that you don't get with a lot of other schools.
So Ashley, we've still got a couple of days before Hurricane Ernesto comes to or near Newfoundland. How are things shaping up right now?
Yeah, I'm certainly keeping my eye on it. Like I said a little earlier in the show, it is looking a little bit more and more likely that we will see some effects. But until then, we have a beautiful weekend on tap, really. Let's take a look at the temperatures today.
Well, it was a pretty lovely day today. It's beautiful right now. Still 23 degrees this afternoon was a daytime high in St. John's. Temperatures through central in the mid to upper 20s, but the warm spot was up across Labrador and Happy Valley Goose Bay at 29 degrees this afternoon, and we're still looking at those temperatures in the teens across the north coast. Now, the one thing you are noticing up across the Big Land is the poor air quality. There is a lot of smoke in the atmosphere, and I don't know if you noticed, but the sunrise this morning was pink. It had that pink hue to it, and that is very indicative of that the smoke in the air. So the poor quality across Labrador is expected to continue through basically Saturday, and we'll eventually see that improve. But as I zoom this out, you can really see where all of that smoke is concentrated up across Labrador, and that smoke will continue to move across the Big Land, maybe even southeastern portions of Labrador as well as the northern peninsula as we get into early Sunday. But for the most part, all of the island will be seeing hazy skies pretty much through the weekend. The other thing keeping an eye on is Hurricane Ernesto. Currently a Category 2 hurricane with winds topping out at about 195 kilometers per hour. Still moving to the northeast at about 23 kilometers per hour. But as we head through the weekend, as it approaches Bermuda and then eventually heads north, it is going to start to slow down and weaken a little bit. By the time we get into Sunday morning, about 130 kilometers per hour, then it will make its turn towards our neck of the woods. Eastern Newfoundland is still in the cone of uncertainty, although the official track is just offshore at the moment. There is still a potential anywhere within that cone of uncertainty to see the eventual track of the system. Now, by the time we get into Tuesday morning, the wind's topping out at about 100 kilometers per hour. And if I show you the spaghetti plot here, you can see most of them have it either just brushing the Avalon or staying offshore, which is why that track is currently there. There are still a number of days to go, so we could see a wobble in that track for sure. But what I can tell you is what we typically see, or what we always see with hurricanes. The track, the current track as I have there for you, the strongest winds are always on the right side of the system, and the heaviest rain is always on the left side of the system. So that keeps the strongest winds at this point offshore, but we could be getting into some of that heavy rain, so we certainly have to pay attention to the forecast. The other thing that we're watching is the wave potential and potential for storm surge. So those of you in south or southwest facing shorelines need to pay attention to the forecast over the weekend. We could be talking about waves as high as 5 to 10 meters through the overnight on Monday and into Tuesday timeframe. That is when we should see the majority of the impacts. But for the time being, it is going to be a very decent weekend. Temperatures tonight around 14 degrees in St. John's. Beautiful night for Shania, and up across Labrador we may still see some showers for the northern portion of Labrador as well as the west, and setting the stage for a pretty beautiful Saturday as well across the island. Not the case across Labrador, still going to be dealing with some of those showers, maybe a few showers for the northern peninsula and along southern areas of the Avalon through the day. And again on Sunday morning, pretty much the same thing up across Labrador. You may even see some thunderstorms with this as well. Overall daytime highs will sit in the upper teens, low 20s, maybe even mid 20s through central areas of the island. Labrador is still going to stay somewhere between the mid to upper 20s, except single digits the story for Nain. For our long range forecast, we're looking at, like I said, the impacts from Ernesto potentially late Monday, early Tuesday. Other than that, we're going to see some rain for parts of the province in that time frame as well, cooling as we get into Wednesday. Rain the story really across Labrador as we head into Tuesday, and same thing for Western Labrador. Our photo, a great shot from Alec. He always sends great shots. This is a dramatic evening sky in Rocky Harbour. If you have any weather photos, you can send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
And we're just a few hours away now from Shania Twain, set to take the stage at about 9:30 tonight. And there are a lot of excited people out here, including one of the openers. Mallory Johnson is joining me now, four-time ECMA winner and four-time nominee for the CCMAs. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you here. She was on at about 4:45, so she's played her set already. Very exciting. How was it up there?
Oh my gosh, I kind of don't remember it now because it was just such a rush and it was a dream come true, and I just know it was fun and I just felt really comfortable, and seeing so many familiar faces who came out early, it was honestly a dream, so yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your love of Shania Twain. How did you get here?
I mean, who doesn't love Shania Twain? I feel like one of her songs is everybody's go-to karaoke song, for one. I grew up listening to Shania, as I'm sure many people at this festival have. Her songs are staples. I cover her all the time in my shows normally. I didn't do it today because I feel like people are going to hear all the songs anyway. But no, I absolutely love Shania, and I can only dream to come even close to what she's accomplished in her lifetime. So yeah, it's just been so wonderful to get to experience this.
Have you met her yet?
I have not. I mean, I don't know. It might happen tonight. Who knows? My fingers are crossed. I know she's a very busy woman, so I'm totally fine just being in the same vicinity. But if I get to meet her, that'll be a cherry on top.
I feel the exact same way. Super fan of Shania here for sure. So how did you prepare for opening up for her?
Lots of rehearsals. I also avoided drinking too much wine because that dehydrates the vocal cords. It's not good for me. But yeah, it's honestly, in terms of preparation, it's just been trying to keep the nerves at bay and try to like rename those nerves as just excitement and try not to let the nerves overwhelm. So it's been a lot of fun with the band, getting to jam and just prepare and just do what we love to do. So to get to do it on this kind of stage is just incredible.
So you did your job already. You opened up. How do you feel about watching? How excited are you to see Shania tonight?
I am so pumped. I should have brought leopard print to change into. I am stoked. I'm so excited that I get to go watch her like side stage and just watch her do her thing, because it's just, gosh, I've never seen her live, apart from she hosted the CCMAs a few years ago, but we only got a little tiny taste of her then, so I haven't got to see her in concert before, so I get to play the biggest show of my life and see the biggest show, so it's incredible.
Yeah, you're in for a treat. I think this is 10, 11, and 12 for me, seeing Shania.
Oh my gosh, so
hardcore fan. Hardcore fan, yeah, it's going to be great. Anyway, it's so great to talk to you. Congratulations on such a great job. You did a wonderful job. And yeah, so we're going to enjoy the rest of the concert here tonight, and for 2 more nights, in fact. If you're coming out here, you might need a sweater a little later, but for now you're good. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, Ashley. It's not just Shania fans celebrating this weekend. Time to take a look at some birthdays and anniversaries. Terry and Catherine O'Reilly are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. They live in Pasadena. Happy 56th anniversary to Harry and Mita Elliott of St. John's. Happy 60th anniversary to Calvin and Sophie White of Western Bay. Happy 60th wedding anniversary to Merv and Barbara Rideout. Happy 67th wedding anniversary to Roy and Shirley Hodder. Happy 65th anniversary to Bruce and Betty Chafe of St. John's. Happy 70th anniversary to Harold and Myrtle Anderson, formerly of Gander, now living in St. John's. Happy 60th anniversary to Winston and Patsy Collins of St. John's. Happy 61st anniversary to Ray and Joyce Humphreys. They live in Lumsden. Wishing Pastors Jim and Cavill Anthony of Clark's Beach a very happy 60th anniversary. Happy 58th anniversary to Derek and Marie Roberts from St. John's. Happy 50th anniversary to Dawn and Betty Party from Grand Falls, Windsor. Happy 58th anniversary to Rosalie and Sid Stiles of Stephenville. Happy 66th wedding anniversary to Dave and Jean James of Gander. Wishing a wonderful 53rd wedding anniversary to Ron and Sylvia Malloy of St. Mary's. Happy 50th anniversary to Catherine and Mike Parnell. Congratulations to Brian and Patricia Oliver of St. John's on their 54th wedding anniversary. Happy 52nd anniversary wishes going out to Ed and Sam Brown of Northern Arm. Happy 50th anniversary for Glenn and Edith Granter. Happy 68th anniversary to George and Marie Mitchellmore of Green Island Cove. Very happy 50th anniversary to Rosalind and Roy Daw of Cupids. Happy 60th anniversary to Kevin and Suzanne Keating of Torbay. Happy 54th wedding anniversary to Jim and Kay Mercer of Stephenville Crossing. Wishing Gary and Phyllis Janes of St. Anthony a very happy 51st anniversary. Happy 56th wedding anniversary to Walter and Irene Jacobs of New West Valley. Happy 56th anniversary to Bernice and Clyde Reynolds of Harbor Grace. Wishing 55th wedding anniversary greetings to Reverend Clayton and Lorraine Parsons of Corner Brook. Happy 55th anniversary to Max and Marcy Stanford of Shoal Harbor. And now to some birthdays. Happy birthday to Matilda Collier, celebrating her 90th birthday, formerly from St. Albans, now living in St. John's. Happy 91st birthday to Teresa House. She currently lives in St. John's. Happy birthday to Evelyn Hatcher, who celebrates a big one. It's her 103rd birthday. She's originally from Rose Blanche, now living in Port-aux-Basque. Happy 90th birthday to Olive Fudge of Lewisport. Happy 92nd birthday to Stella Collins from Hare Bay. Very special birthday greetings to Nancy Edmonds of Nain, who celebrates her 91st. Happy 97th birthday to Audrey Grandy of Garnish. There she is. Congratulations to Jack Bray of Corner Brook, who turns 99. Happy 97th birthday to Morris Kearley of Fortune. He still drives and still lives on his own. Mildred Rousel is celebrating her 91st birthday. And finally, we have a special double birthday. That's right, because we've got twins who are turning 91. Anita Grandy from Baylargent and Caroline Lake.
Hi everyone, I'm Jane Adey, host of Land and Sea. This fall we're celebrating a big anniversary, 60 years on the air. So leading up to our special season, we're dipping into our Land and Sea archives for Here and Now viewers. Today we're going to go back to 1987 and a show all about the community of Greens Pond.
When you visit Greens Pond, you sense that this little cluster of rocky islands is a special place. There's a stately air about the old town. Even the very houses seem proud and haughty, as though basking in some past glory. Greens Pond was quite a place in the heyday of the northern fishery and the seal hunt. When St. Stephen's Church was built in 1857, the settlement was already a thriving centre with mercantile firms, a customs house and a fleet of foreign-going vessels. Greens Pond faded as the Labrador fishery and the seal fishery faded. Its population declined, and some feared that the centralization fever of the 50s and 60s would seal its fate. But this tough little island has bounced back. People have returned and look again to the sea for their livelihood. Years ago, on a day like this, the men would be out seal hunting, for this is a great spot for seals. But this once important industry has been severely crippled, an important source of income lost. Veteran seal hunter Melvin Burry is angry that the seal fishery was allowed to die. I believe there's a good many seals out there these years, is there?
Yes, boy. Yes, there's more seals there this last 5 or 6 years than ever been there this last, well, in my memory, I go back as far as the last 50 years. Yeah.
You've been sealing for 50 years?
Yeah, that's what I've been at it. I was about 13, 14 when I started at it, yeah. And I've been at it ever since. And I never seen the light as was there this last 4 or 5 years.
But you can't do anything with it. You can't get no point in going out.
There's not much sense in going out and killing them, you know. I mean, last winter there was about 500 seals thrown away over this wire.
500 pelts
500 pelts thrown away here. And I mean, there could have been 2,000 if people was interested in going and killing them for the seal, the word of the pelt, you know.
Yeah. How much money would you have made now, years back, on that many pelts? Say?
Well, when it comes to years back, you know, it's all according to the amount of years, eh?
Yeah.
You think, I mean, when I was about, well, in 1935, that's when it was then, ice hunting ships came in there, eh? And the wheat coats came in that year. We had me and my father, we lived on Popham Island there then with the foghorn too. I put in 9 years out there. And we all the seals ashore that time. We got 52, eh? It comes to $1 a pelt.
I see, but now when does
and now this last 20, 25 years, they've been up, you know, to as $25 a pelt, eh?
Yeah. So there's a lot of money being lost
now.
now.
My son, well, I mean, people would be more interested if you were getting clear pelts, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, you take, well, last year there was 500 seals brought in here. Well, if it didn't been, you know, worth anything, $20, $25 a pelt, my God, there could have been 5,000 brought in here.
Well, the protest groups wouldn't have set foot on Newfoundland Island if Melvin Burry had his way. Not that it would have stopped what happened, I suppose, for the seal hunt was killed, not here but in comfortable southern climes. The protest was based on ignorance of life here in the north. Seals were important in the off-season, in the months when you couldn't fish cod and salmon and lobsters. Now it's not worth going out. Nothing to do but wait for spring. Well, not really, for there's firewood to be cut and nets and fishing gear to be made ready. Greens Pond may look deserted on a cold, blustery day in midwinter, but don't be fooled, the men aren't abed. Go up to the twine loft and you'll find them. At least that's where we found Bob Granter and his brothers. They're longliner fishermen. Bob, some people think that fishermen have nothing to do in the winter time in the spring. Well, you see, that's not right, is it?
No, boy, that's not always true. Always plenty to do around here today, boy.
What's your work now?
We're getting our crab traps ready now for the spring fishery. Usually in the spring now is a bit early fish. It gets traps for that, see?
What else do you fish for in the spring?
Well, we get hit lumps and lobsters, something like a lobster license. And and that's about it now until the captain comes before you get set. Well, some fellas get the ground feed early, you know, but we don't usually get ground feed that early.
So you're fairly busy then all winter?
All winter, yeah. Especially after January. Now in the fall we do a bit of hunting and get a bit of firewood. Then around this time of year now we get pretty busy getting the gear in order.
I believe you fellows sort of re-entered the fishery, didn't you? You started off fishing, but you gave it up for a while?
Well, we were fishing when we were boys growing up in Greenspan. Then we went to St. John's and went to work in there. And, I spent 9 years in there. Came back in '78, myself, my brother and cousin, bought a landliner and started fishing.
I suppose you were discouraged when you were younger that the Greenspan looked like it was on the way out.
Yeah, well, that's what it was. In Greenspan then back in the 60s and that, the resettlement was on the go and education seemed to be the thing then. All the older people, my father and I, well, move away from Greenspan, there's nothing here for you in the fishery, don't be at this. So we went elsewhere, but the pasture wasn't much greener, so we're back again. Hopefully we're staying now.
The Granters left and they came back to pick up the skills and the way of life they'd left behind. It happened to a lot of people here in Greenspan. Here's one reason for the Greenspan revival: the causeway to Shambler's Cove, the end of isolation. No longer are people trapped on the island when the wind is too strong or the ice too bad. This has meant a lot to the people of Greenspan. They're now linked with hospitals and other services. The causeway has opened up new resources too. Take firewood, for instance. While trees may not be very tall or thick here on the mainland of Bonavista North, growth is considerably better than on Greenspan. In fact, there's probably not a stick of wood on the entire island. Now it's just a matter of loading the snowmobile aboard the truck and heading for the woods. Much has been written about the Greenspan Saga, of the ships and the men that sailed from here. The waterfront today is not exactly a forest of spars. Even though the population has rebuilt in recent years, there are still less than half as many living here now as lived here in its heyday, a century or so ago. Uncle Cease Carter can't remember back that far, but he's old enough to have watched Greenspan swing from good times to bad and back again. His youth was in the days of sail. He can entertain you for hours with stories of ships and the men who sailed them. Many a famous mariner has been raised on these rocky shores. There may not be much physical evidence to show that Greenspan was once a hub of the North, but there are many memories, and they go back a long, long way.
One of my great-great-grandfathers or somebody like that lived on Lewis Island there in he had a schooner built in 1697, a schooner called the Indian Queen, a fishing schooner. And she went to Labrador and was lost in Indian Tickles. Now, I don't know how many years she went to Labrador before she was lost. I don't know that. Could have been the first year, could have been 5 or 6 years after that. Yes, remarkable, isn't it? In the 30s, 20s, Greenspan's harbour was full of vessels. Coasting vessels, fishing vessels.
But now you wouldn't fish around here, would you? Where would the men fish?
Oh no, they would all go up to Labrador. Up to Labrador fishing. Yes.
Was it a prosperous place?
Prosperous place, always a prosperous place. Yes, sir, until the dirty 30s came. That ruined everything, ruined everybody. Huh? But she's come back again now, see? A lot of people leave. A lot of people went away. And a lot of people came back that went away. Come back again, living there.
Uncle Cease Carter was proud and delighted to see people return to Greens Pond and to hear the sounds of engines in the harbour once more. Marshall Granter, the father of Bob, who we spoke with earlier in the twine loft, he's one of those who returned to the sea. While Bob and the boys fish from a longliner, Marshall prefers to fish alone in a small boat. He agreed to take me out and give me a taste of a fisherman's life on Greens Pond Island. Aside from a bit of fog which threatened to obscure the marks, it was a beautiful day on the water. A few miles out, we came upon two of Marshall's neighbours, Philip Burry and Sam Burry. It didn't seem like they were doing much with it. The fish were scarce around Greens Pond this summer. I could tell, though, that Marshall wasn't used to bobbing around on the ocean very long without a line in his hand. You have a try, are you?
I'm going to throw in my jigger now, see if I can jig one. It's not too promising though, fell boy, is it?
No, boy. No, my son.
No.
My Tom got.
Yeah.
No.
That's the few got through the dragger's nets.
Yes, boy.
Yeah.
Small fish, though, isn't it?
Yes, my son, small fine. Now, the few that I get out there, you know, is better fish than this.
Yeah.
What I get out there, don't get very many. But it's been small fish, been there all the year, boy. Not only tomcats, that's all.
You're getting a few on the trawl out there, Marshall.
Yeah, they get a steady one, boy. It used to be a good place, too. One time.
When you get them on the trawl now, will you get them on the jigger too, or?
No, not necessarily. You could jig, not jig them, but you still trawl, eh?
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll jig it and not trawl.
Well, it depends if they're going for the bait or not.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. If there's any live bait around, you know, not very often you'll trawl it then, but you'll jig it.
I see. I suppose there's lots of fishing ground around here in Greens Pond, though, is there?
Oh yes, boy. There's a nice bit of fishing ground. Because now, well, we've usually fished it, well, right from the Offord Island, different times of the year, right on down to Pouch Island, Flowers Island, down around there, you know. So there's quite a bit of ground. Well, there's ground enough. If there was lots of fish around, you wouldn't see a boat all day. You'll be on a spot of ground by yourself all day, eh? But the way it is now, you've got to trade around.
And so trade around we did, going from one spot of ground to another, looking for fish. With the extra weight aboard and the fog covering the horizon, Marshall couldn't find his trawl on the offer ground, the place they call Luff Up.
Betty Joy Yvonne, do you read me now? Over. You're luckier than what I is. I can't find my boy. I'm up here now, I don't know where I'm to. No, I ain't tried neither line, boy. I got the CBC fellows out here with me this morning. We're talking to Phil in there. Phil not doing much, he had about £100. But I can't find me boy. Over.
Well, we steamed on, trying to find Luff Up. I certainly wasn't much help. In fact, I figured Cape Bonavista would probably loom out of the fog any minute. But I should have known better. After a spell of dodging back and forth, of trading around and testing the bottom, Marshall spotted his boys on a Luff Up. We're 7 miles or so from land now. There's no shoal water further out. Luff Up is our best chance for a few fish.
That's it. Get out. Coming aboard now.
So you got one, Marshall, anyway.
There's one coming. I'm hoping to get him. Yeah.
They're pretty scarce, though, aren't they?
Pretty scarce, but there's nothing. Nothing at all.
There's usually big fish out there, Marshall.
Usually big fish out there, yes.
What do you figure happened?
I don't know. I guess the most of the big fish is caught up.
Offshore, you mean? Or?
Offshore, that's what it really means. I think that's all we're getting is a bit of drainage, and not much of that.
Now, some people say there's lots of fish for everybody, offshore and inshore, but you don't.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it, sir. Because the reason why I don't believe it, because every year the last 7 or 8 years, every year it's getting scarcer and scarcer.
This was pretty good ground, I believe, was it one time?
This was the best. This was choice ground.
How much fish would you get here now in a good year, years ago?
Oh, well, any day you get out here, you'll safe on 3,000 or 4,000 pound fish with your trawl. 2 or 3 men would pin line to trawl out here and you'd safe. Motorboat load. We used to use a 30-foot boat, and there's no trouble load you there on trawl.
And what do you get now?
Couple £100.
And so Marshall Granter has returned to Greenspond and the fishery. So have many others. While the cod fishery hasn't been good in recent years, the high prices offered make a difference. But it's by catching other species that many small boatmen here manage to survive. For lumpfish roe fetches a good price. And if you have a license, there's the lobster and the salmon fisheries. There's flatfish to catch too, and capelin, and sometimes mackerel. Added together, it's a living. And that's all that Marshall wants, for this is the life he loves. He's glad he returned to Greenspond. A final word from Uncle Cease. He's lived here in Greenspond all his life. He's seen the good times and the bad. What does Uncle Cease think of it all?
Well, sir, in the years the resettlement came up, that was Joey's idea to get all the people off of the Highland. And he thought he was going to get them off of Greenspond too. He didn't do it. I'll never forget, I got a phone call one night in that resettlement time from Wick Collins, staff writer, Even Telegram. He said, "Did you see Skyler?" I said, "Yes, sir." "Look here," he said, "they tells me," he said, "that Greenspond is going to become a bird rock." I said, "Who in the hell told you that?" Just like that. Well, boy, he said, "That's all the news up around there." My dear man, I says, "Look, there'll be people living on Greenspond 50 years from now." What, he said? I said it. Boy, he said, am I glad to hear that? I said, "That's it. And I'm going to be right, too." 25 years are gone now. Yes.
You've got a lot of fond memories of this place, I guess.
Yeah, my son, there's more than I'll never repeat again, I suppose. Fond memories, all your time, my son, yes.
That was a show from 1987, all about the community of Greens Pond. Today, the town still has 40 fish harvesters fishing cod and crab and capelin and lobster. In winter, the population is about 250 full-time residents. Now, those numbers grow in the summer when tourism gives the community a boost. So if you haven't made a trip to Greens Pond yet, maybe this is the summer to go. Thanks for watching, and we'll have another Land and Sea archival show for you next week.
Thanks, Jane. You've been watching a special look back at an archival Land and Sea. We've been bringing you those shows on Fridays throughout the summer as we celebrate 60 years of one of CBC's longest running series. And as you heard Jane 80 mention there, we'll have another episode for you next Friday. That show comes from back in 1990, and it's all about boat building. So hopefully you'll be able to check that out. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Hopefully you enjoy your weekend. We'll be back with you on Monday for another edition of Here Now, back with the full hour. And of course, we'll have the latest on Hurricane Ernesto. We'll be keeping a close look on that forecast. If you want to stay up to date with news throughout the weekend, cbc.ca/NL. I'm Peter Cowan. Have a good night.